Today on Soul Impact, our guest is Donald Dunn, a decorated 20-year Army veteran turned multimedia storyteller. He's the founder of Barracks Media, creator of Veteran Voice Radio, and the host of Spirit and Stories, where combat, trauma, and healing meets raw truth. From war zone to the microphone, Donald brings a mission, not just a script.
This program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are.
Hi, I want to welcome everyone back to another episode of Soul Impact. I'm your host, Wild Willie, and with me today I got Donald Dunn. Donald, I want to thank you for agreeing to being on the show today.
Man, I'm honored to be asked and to be on. It's always great to be able to talk to other people and give out experiences and let everybody know the world.
So a little bit about how this all got started is I had a pretty rough upbringing. There was a lot of abuse in my childhood. So I, at a young age, needed to find an outlet. And music was that outlet for me. Like, I'm not musically talented at all, but listening to music was a way of me learning how to deal with my emotions and better ways of dealing with the outsource than, punching someone in the face.
Absolutely.
I have originally started a company called Backwoods Production, DJ karaoke service, which later got into sound, and I have used that platform in relationship with various artists to launch Soul Impact, because I feel it's important when you see artists struggle and believe in themselves, struggle and not to believe in themselves. I want this to be a resource for them people that are going through hard times that, whether you're just life sucks or you're an artist and you don't believe in yourself because you had one bad gig. I wanted people to be able to say, hey, they talked about this today on Soul Impact, and I feel that this is going to really resonate well with you.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. There's a lot of trauma that's going on in the United States today. It's not all veteran trauma, and music is an amazing outlet because it's one of the best ways for people to resonate to people's stories.
So you kind of heard what got me into it. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your story and how you got into what you're doing?
So yeah, the 10,000 foot view is I spent 20 years in the military. Out of that 20 years, I spent 68 months fighting in a foreign country. I spent time in Bosnia, I spent time in Afghanistan, and I spent time in Iraq. It was kind of a unique situation with these last 20 years because America's never been in a war that long. And in the past, the veterans have been drafted, so they did a year or two and then they were gone. Very few of them was constantly repeating back and forth through these combats. And that time of constantly seeing trauma hit you over and over and over again, it wears on you. And when I walked away from the military, I did not want to live. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I had became. And so I found myself in a very low place. And then on top of that, I did something that was not smart. I couldn't find a job when I got out, so that just compounded issues. So I bought a semi truck and I started a trucking company called Donald Dunn Trucking, and I did that for 6 years. But that was time spent 11 hours a day driving, and 6 weeks at a time, isolated in the back of a semi truck. So nothing but time to think. And it just put me in a very dark place that finally one day exploded into what almost became a fight between me and my son, and me throwing him out of the house. And that was the day that I realized I needed help. There was something wrong. I didn't know what it was, but I was just so full of hatred and anger, man. And it didn't matter what the right emotion was. I only had one emotion, and that was anger. So after getting some help and learning a little bit about PTSD and the things that had happened, I could see things with a more clear mind. And I started podcasting because we had a couple soldiers commit suicide, and it was just going to be a Facebook Live is all it was going to be. It was going to be a place where we could bring our soldiers in that didn't live close by, and talk to them and make sure everybody's doing okay, and just keep that camaraderie that we had while we were in the military. And it was called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room, and we did this for about a year, and then it changed. My co-host had decided to drop off, and I started doing it the second year because I discovered that I was starting to feel better about myself. I was getting my story out. I found myself being able to talk about the things that had happened without breaking down in tears and having it affect my mental health. So during that time frame, I came across some musicians, and I discovered the problem that they're having. For me, my podcast and their problems are real similar. We all fight to get people to hear our story because we have a story to tell. We're passionate about what we feel and what we've done, and we just want people to understand it. It isn't about money or anything else, but it takes a lot of money to become Joe Rogan, if that's what you're trying to get to. And I personally didn't care if one person watched my show or 10,000 people watched my show. It was about me and getting my story out and the repetitive of talking about the trauma that had happened, because that's what was making me feel better. And yes, that's very selfish in my thought process, but it was my therapy sessions. And after discovering that, I wanted to do something to help them, because unlike me, if one person watches my show, I still have food on my table. These guys that are transitioning from the military and trying to become full-time musicians are being taken advantage of in every place in the world. A lot of them are making $25 for a 4-hour session at a bar in Nashville, just so they can get their name and talk to people that are there, trying to find a connection. And so I started a nonprofit called Veteran Voice Radio. And the whole purpose behind this was to get them away from having to rely on Spotify and get buried in all these algorithms, and come to a place where everybody can hear them, they can find them. I can help them network with events and places that they potentially could get a gig and play, or whatever they want to do with their career. And it's been very successful. We're going on our second year, and we're looking to start what's called the Veteran Voice Music Awards. It's going to be done just like the CMTs, and it's just going to be for independent veteran musicians. I'm sure, as you know, independent musicians work their asses off trying to make it anywhere. Hell, just to make a living, you're going to put in a lot more time than you would at a job, and it is tough, man. It's really hard, and I hate to see somebody that has a network. The one thing about veteran musicians is their songs are about their stories, what had happened to them, the people they lost, the trauma that they've gone through, the PTSD afterwards. All of this is their story, and this is them getting it out and speaking it in a way that everybody can understand. And whether they realize it or not, it's the first step of therapy. It's the first step of getting help is to be able to tell your story. And so we've been doing this for about 2 years now. It's been going great. I started a media company, like you stated. Barracks Media Incorporated is just a small little company to help handle the things that are not tax-free in this world that would help Veteran Voice Radio, like advertising space and stuff like that. There's a lot of tax implications that come with nonprofits that if you do it wrong and you mess up, you can lose your nonprofit status, which means then veterans lose their ability to get some help. So that's what Barracks Media Incorporated came across with. It's just a small editing company, a podcasting hosting company / Podmatch type setup as well. And the other thing I've done is I'm an author. I'm passionate about writing. I used to write for a magazine called what was it called? Veteran At Ease Magazine. Sorry, lost my ability there. But At Ease Magazine is what it was called. I published a book while I was healing, while I was going through trauma. And the one step that is the hardest part I have found in trauma is, one, accepting yourself, and two, being able to go back and make amends with the things that you messed up. And so I wrote a document to my family because I never explained to them the things I went through. And I gave them the brutal truth and the honest things that I seen, done, and so forth. And my daughter asked me to publish it. So I rewrote it and published a book. It was called Echoes of War, The Silent Transformation of a Soldier. And I got a second book that's coming out now. It's in print. It's called When Demons Follow Us Home. It is about taking that phrase, fighting your demons, and changing it into, what if those demons were not mental, right? And the whole purpose behind this is to be able to give people that don't understand depression and trauma something physical to see and see how it relates. And you'll find the similarities between trauma victims and the symptoms that's put on them by these physical demons. And then the last thing I'm doing is I am trying to get the military to change their methods and start implementing a better response to PTSD by doing some pre-treatments. We train our bodies and our minds to do unexplainable things, but we don't train to how to mitigate the risks of PTSD, trauma, and depression. And there's a lot of techniques that you can do to prepare yourself and help you recognize the symptoms before you get too deep and it becomes too hard to come back from. So that's me in a nutshell, man. I'm a man of a few talents.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your years of dedication to this country.
Thank you.
Coming from someone that had military all through their family, I know the sacrifice that not only you made, but your loved ones made. So yeah. I extend my gratitude to that. And as far as what you're doing for the veterans, and I'm sure you get to hear all the time, but thank you. That's part of the reason why I joined up with Operation Combat Veterans Suicide. It's because they need help. I mean, 22 a day, that's outrageous.
Yeah. And that doesn't even count like the veterans that die from drug overdoses and stuff like that. Those are considered accidental deaths and not considered suicides. But, if you're self-medicating because of trauma and you accidentally, even if you accidentally overdose, it's still a suicide.
See, I didn't know that accidental death didn't count. I didn't know that.
Those numbers are closer to 40 a day.
Really?
Yep. And it's because so many homeless in general, not just veterans, but the homeless population and the veteran population that's not homeless, one of the first things they do is try to self-medicate. And it just compiles the problems.
Oh, yeah. And you see it time and time again. I mean, not just with veterans, but everybody. Society has taught us to swallow what you're dealing with. Be a man.
Yep.
And to me, that's utter bullcrap. I'm sorry. You've got to know that it's okay not to be okay. I mean,
100%.
like, one of my favorite sayings, coming from a dark moment where I was super depressed and thought about, doing the worst possible thing I could ever done. A friend of mine told me this saying, and I don't know who says it still to this day, but it's, you win if you don't quit.
100%.
And that is, I'm getting ready to look at having shirts and stuff made, and I want that put on my shirts just because it's such a powerful saying. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry about that. But no, and also that with this, I want people to be able to have that connection. Hey, I heard Donald on Soul Impact. He has an amazing story. Let's see how we can help him, or let's see what we can do to help the veterans he's helping. Or, I think the community as a whole needs to get back together. And I'm not just talking the community I live in, Salem, Missouri. I think the community as a whole is, anyone in the entertainment world, you see it time and time again. They get big and they get a big head.
Yep.
And to me, I think you need to remember to give back to your community. Start it. And this is what I've done with my business. I do that. You're from Raleigh, so you know about that hero marathon they do every year.
Correct. Yep.
Every year I donate my DJ business to it. I have started. But one thing I've decided from day one of having my business is I'm going to use my business to give back. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but if we're not going to look out for our communities, then who is?
Nobody.
I mean, and, you got to show love. Sometimes showing love is the light in this very dark world that no one has. Yeah.
I mean, the thing that people don't think about, right, is when they get disgruntled with somebody, standing there at Walmart or whatever, and there comes that little conflict or whatever. You don't know what that person's day's been like. You may have gotten mad at somebody who's not thinking because they just lost a family member. And having that ability to take that time to understand that just your problems isn't the whole big world. And if we were coming together as a community, it would help solve everybody's problems, not just individuals.
Oh, for sure. And I think we lack compassion.
We do.
Society as a whole. And I'm not getting political because that's not about on my podcast. But when something bad has happened to somebody, people are often said, "Oh, they got what they deserved," or, to me that's wrong. Show love. It takes a lot more to tear someone down than it does to build them up.
Yep.
Take a few seconds and say, "Hey, Donald, are you okay today? What's going on?" Coming from someone that has dealt with the PTSD, it sucks. I got mine from a different reason than you did. I got mine from my childhood.
Yep.
And I'm sure like that in a million years was something I never thought I would be able to use a platform to talk about, and the depression and the anxiety that comes with PTSD.
Yeah.
Because you can't get over, like, for me, it was a breaking of a twig behind my head instantly sent me downhill. So then it would make my anxiety through the roof. The depression would trigger. Yeah. So you have to deal with it. I mean, sweeping everything under the rug is a bullcrap philosophy.
100%. Yep. You're right.
So Big part of this is music. And, I know you're not an artist per se, but you're around a lot of artists. So for me growing up, I was raised on a lot on the Merle Haggard, Conway Twitty, Loretta Lynn.
Yep.
The heart of country music. I will stand by that. But I love seeing when an artist gets on stage and puts their all into every song they do, and they never perform it the same way.
Yeah.
I love that. As being a sound guy, I have seen some of the same acts over and over again because I constantly run sound. And everybody's like, man, they never do the same. And I was like, yeah, that's what makes them great.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, which for the podcast world, like, believe it or not, I've only been in this since June. June 11th was my first podcast I ever aired.
Yeah, congratulations.
And I'm pushing 30 episodes. I do an episode every Thursday. I release an episode every Thursday. And never did I think I'd be 30 episodes in back in June. Well, I went to a good friend of mine. Actually met him at a festival, Bubba Starts. He's content creator of the year for the Scene Project. Amazing heart. And, you have them people that you just... you never think you connect with, but instantly you meet them and they're like, there's that bond.
Yep.
Especially, and it's really weird because with PTSD, I'm learning I don't trust very easy.
Yeah, it's usually one of the first defense mechanisms that comes up.
But he was able to, and it was like I never had issues dealing with it. It was like, and I mentioned this podcast ideal to him, and he's from South Dakota. And he says, called me a couple days later, and he says, I think you need to just run with it. It's an amazing ideal. My first episodes were probably a little rough and very raw.
Yeah, everybody's was.
But to see the growth, and I mean, I talk about music, and music is such a passion. Like when I went through my divorce about 3 years ago, What Hurts the Most by Rascal Flatts. I've always loved that song. But when I went through my divorce, what I got from it was so much different than when I first heard it.
Yeah.
And then I went from being sad to being angry because she was gone. So then I listened to Puddle of Mud, She Hates Me. And then, like, in my situation, and I'm not mouthing anybody or putting anyone down, but our relationship, our marriage was very toxic for each other. So I didn't like who I had become through my marriage. And I was like, man, how do I change this? Where do I go from here? So then I listened, as cliche as it is, Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. That was the song that taught me, if I don't like what's going on, Willie, you got to open your eyes and change you.
Yep.
So what's been that one big song? And like I said, I know you're not an artist, but music affects everybody. What's been that one big song that has helped you push through what you're going through?
I think the song that I can relate to the most, most people probably don't know it. It's an old George Jones song called Wild Irish Rose.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that song. For me, I think of with George Jones, he has such a great talent.
Oh yeah. And he's lived a life of trauma as well. So.
Oh yeah. But their music reflected that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it is, getting back to that, especially with the independent artists, but these record labels, and I'm not knocking record labels, I'm not, but a lot of them has gotten to where they want to paint these artists off differently than what they really are.
Yeah, they want to paint them into something that sells.
And I see it time and time again. I'd rather an artist stay independent and be true that they are, but I know they got to pick up in order to make it. Things got to happen. But
the real issue with the music industry is that it's changed so much. The days of being able to make your own CD and sell it out the back of your car are gone. And, you know, for like our royalties for our radio station, for every song we play, the artist gets like 0.00024 cents. So you're talking not even a quarter of a penny is what goes to the artists. They also get our membership fees and all that stuff too. But it's still, you're talking less than $100 a year is probably what the artists are getting. And so now, in order to make a payday, you have to be performing live because nobody buys CDs.
Exactly.
You don't. There's so many loopholes with bigger streaming companies like Spotify and that. Some musicians, they don't have to pay at all. Meaning, if you're not part of a pro BMI or ASCAP or any of those companies, they don't give you anything. You don't even get that 0.00 whatever. You're not entitled to it. You're just an independent guy singing. And the rules have made it very tough for somebody. And again, now you're dealing with First Amendment stuff. You're dealing with therapy for people. You imagine this. Imagine all the songs that you could tell. Hey, Jelly Roll, for example, the songs that he is saying, you can tell they come from a life of trauma and hard times, right? Imagine if before he was ever signed, they said, if you're just an independent artist, you don't matter. And they just hand-capped you to where you couldn't be heard anywhere. And you just gave up. Where is that person going to end up at? Starting a revolver? You know, you're messing with forms of therapy, not just music, not just entertainment that, you know, people find another way to entertain themselves. Yeah, but will that guy find another therapist?
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. I mean, they're trying to monetize an image that isn't the artist.
Right.
I mean, and I hate to say it, but, you know, initially, and they're making money off of it. And that's what really monetizing is making money off of something.
Yep.
So they're trying to do that to these artists. And like, so let's say there's a veteran artist. We're going to talk about your radio station for a little bit.
Okay.
Let's say there's an artist that he's a veteran and he wants to get on your radio station. What does he have to do?
All he has to do is just email me. And then, you know, obviously I do verify that they were in the military, and they don't have to be in the military. We'll take veteran spouses, and we'll take the veterans dependents. So if you're anywhere in that category, you will be able to play on our station.
Now, the reason why I asked, hold up one second. Sorry about that.
Hey, no problem.
But the reason why I asked, I do have a couple artists that I have interviewed that are veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they would be an amazing fit for your radio station.
Yeah, we play 100% of everybody's songs. Everybody's music gets played. And that was the main reason why we had to finally start expanding and breaking some of the genres down, because I found, you know, we had so many songs and so many veterans that, you know, you might get one song played every 2 or 3 days. And what I did is broke them down by genres. And that way we could have a smaller batch on each radio station, so their music gets played more and they're more targeted towards their audience, you know. But when we started out with one, and now, like I said, we're up to 2. We are looking at adding a third, just kind of a catch-all genre. And a lot of that comes down to money. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I forgot I was talking to my daughter. See the rawness of it, you ain't gonna get that anywhere else.
Nope, no AI here.
So, do they have to submit it, or can they have someone?
No, all they have to do is email me. So the other part of this, right? The whole part of this project is about them, one, earning enough or making enough or seeing progress so that they continue to stay. So um, a veteran will reach out to me. They'll email me. They'll give me a short bio of their time, their life, what they did. If they've got some music, they can send that to me as well if they would like. But once you're an artist on our station, I try to buy all the music that I can. I go to Apple or Amazon and I pay for the music that we upload onto the station to play, because that money goes to the veteran or the artist that's out there. It's not like the royalties that get cut by the songwriter, the royalty company, and everybody else. And next thing you know, the veteran's not even making a penny per play.
Yeah. Reason why I asked, I have a couple that are, like I said, one of them's right here in Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it's okay with you, I would like to forward your email to them.
Yep, we've got an amazing artist that's from Missouri here. He was in the National Guard or Reserves. I don't remember which. His name's Tim Newton, I think. Yeah, I think Tim Newton is his name. Awesome song.
Like two of them I'm thinking of, and I'll be honest to you. One's Bubba Starts, which I mentioned him earlier. Mm-hmm. And the other one is Jamie Smith.
Yeah.
No, not Jamie Smith. I'm sorry. What is his last name? Give me a second. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay, yeah, it is Jamie Smith.
Yeah. All they got to do is just email me, and I'll give you my email after this. And
I have your email already.
Yeah, then you can just have them send me an email, and I'll get them set up.
Right on. I appreciate that, buddy.
No problem.
Like I said, I'm a big believer in helping people out. I mean, not just heroes, but artists. And, I'm constantly, and I have contacts to a Red Dirt Road radio station. So if you have artists looking to branch out in that style of music, you can send them my way, and I'll send them to the radio station. We have an online radio station we have access to on Live 365.
Yep.
Basically, we're trying to do as much as we can here at the Scene Projects to show love to one another, and also on Wednesday nights at 9:00 Central Standard Time. And I say that for people who aren't watching, that don't know what time zone we're in. We do a live broadcast on a podcast called Soul Impact. No, not Soul Impact, sorry. Love Noise. We're on Soul Impact now. But it's called Love Noise, and they submit 3 songs, and we bring them on. We review them 3 songs right there on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to tell their story behind the music they wrote.
That's awesome.
So I think, like I said, as a whole, we need to get back to loving each other, and if you're out there and you're at the end of the rope, find help. I mean, there's a hotline number. You can look me up. I don't care if it's 1:00 in the morning. I don't sleep anyway. But I'm not putting my number out there for everyone on the internet. Fine. But if you can find my number and you need a friend to talk to, ring my phone. If it's bad enough where you feel like it's more than just a thought, check yourself in. It's okay to check yourself in and get help. Don't let it get that far, though. I mean, remember, each and every one of you are loved. Yeah, even though you were dealt a crappy situation, That situation does not define you. So what advice would you give to that person that is at the end of their rope?
You know, the if you're to that point, right, that means you're standing at the crossroads where you have to choose a path. One side is going down a long journey of healing that comes with a lot of hard processes, and the other one is the easy way out, which is killing yourself. And you know, my advice is, it does nothing ever makes sense to have a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? That other path may be hard, but it is well worth it. And when you come out the other side, you're going to realize that you may not be the person you used to be, but you're going to find a way to love that new person that you are. And that is 50% of kicking depression's ass right there, is beginning to love yourself again and understand that making mistakes and not being, you know, being imperfect is the step to become perfect.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. It is so important to love yourself. And I think that's where a lot of relationships go wrong too, is because you'll get someone that's so broken that don't know how to love themselves.
Yeah.
And then they don't know how to love themselves. So how are they going to love somebody else?
Yep. That was exactly what my first book was about. You know, coming out the other side, I started realizing things that I did wrong. And I was so far gone that I couldn't see what was happening. And I felt like my family hated me. My family didn't understand me. I was a deadbeat dad. I was a horrible husband. These were all the emotions I had. But for 68 months, every time I deployed, I came back and my wife would ask me how things went. I would just say, oh, fine, another day at the office. You know, even though she sees me waking up, having nightmares and screaming, you know, she would ask me what's wrong. I would say, it's just a bad dream. And she'd say, well, what was it about? And I would say, I don't remember. But then when I hit rock bottom, now I'm mad because they don't understand me. Well, hell, when did I give them a chance to understand me? They weren't over there with me. They didn't know what happened. And I did not tell them. I didn't share that. And you have to understand that communication is a tough thing, because you think you're saving your family from seeing things or knowing things that go bump in the night. Well, you know, when you hit rock bottom, you're going to need somebody there that can understand how the fall happened. And if you don't share it, you're taking away lifelines.
You ain't wrong. I mean, by any means, you're not wrong. I mean, I can't imagine, and I said this earlier, thank you for your service. I cannot imagine what you've seen. But I know on the civilian side of it, you know, I can relate, because I've seen and had these nightmares from my PTSD where my ex-wife would be like, what's wrong? I was like, oh, nothing, you know, because you want to protect them from what they weren't a part of.
Yep.
I mean,
then you want them to understand too.
Oh yeah, don't touch me, or you know, yep. Oh, you jump because of this. That's funny, and then I get mad. And instead of communicating, and like you said, communication is so important.
Yep.
Then I would get mad because she thinks it's funny that I would get jumpy, so she would do it again. And then, you know, I can tell you 90% of our fights were because of that, because
yeah,
I would do something to her that triggered hers, or she would do something to me that triggered mine. So we were arguing because of lack of communication. I mean, that with PTSD, I think goes hand in hand.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. You start isolating, which means you shut down and you quit communicating. You know, and like I said, we talk a bit about veterans, but this is a human problem. You know, you look at the veteran community, right? the guy that we're shooting against, he's going through the same things that we're going through right now. And it's all because we're humans, and these are human effects. This is how the human body deals with trauma. It doesn't matter what kind, where, when, who, how. None of that stuff matters. The only thing that changes is the triggers. What makes one person, have flashbacks or memories may be different than what the next person has. But PTSD doesn't care what you do for a living. It's a debilitating problem for the human body.
And if you see yourself having symptoms for it, anxiety, any mental issues, get help.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of it as an engine. If all components aren't running right, that engine's gonna crap out.
Yep.
So if you're not taking care of you mentally, eventually you're gonna hit your breaking point and just crap out.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So just remember, you are loved, and no matter what happens at the end of the day, that as a community, there's people there that care, but they can't be there to care if you're not there to reach out and say, "Hey, I'm not okay."
That's it, man. It all starts right there. And it's okay to start going through healing and then having to catch your breath and say, I need to slow this down. This is a little bit too much. And then continue on. It's not a race, man. It's not a marathon. There's no time clock. It's what does it take to get you to the finish line? And when you get there, you win. It's that simple.
So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
So the best place for resources, if you want to see what I'm doing or what the radio station's doing or any of that stuff, is you can go to my personal website. It's Donald Dunn with 2 N's .me. Or if you want to go to the radio station, you can go to veteranvoiceradio.com. From there, you can download the free apps to listen to the radio stations. Like I said, our rock station is Ranger Rockwave, and the country station is Simplify. We got links for both of them. They'll take you right to the app store. You don't even have to have an account, so we won't gather any personal information. All you do is download it and hit play. And other than that, if you're interested in any of my books or guest speaking or any of that type of stuff, you can find that on my website as well. As well as if you're interested in anything with the media company, editing services or hosting, or just got questions on podcasting, you can find it through that website or barracksmedia.com.
And make sure you send me those links.
I will.
So when I post this video, I can show those.
Absolutely.
And if you're not supporting the Scene Project, you can subscribe on YouTube or text Scene to 605-800-5990. And that'll get you all your updates. And we also have a little group on kind of like Facebook. It's the group.thesceneprojects.com. And it's kind of like a place where everybody can connect without the political bullcrap. Sorry, I was putting that banner back up. Yeah, see, and that's the thing is, you have such a powerful story. You really do. And I want to thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate it, man.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep showing that love, because that's what this is about. This is about showing love to people that don't feel loved.
I agree. And that's exactly what it's about, man.
I'm so glad you agreed to do this. I cannot express my gratitude enough.
No problem, man. I'm honored to speak anytime that somebody wants to hear me ramble on. So,
and here's this, guys. I end it with something catchy all the time, and I say different stuff every time, and typically I say until next time, remember to love yourself and love each other. But y'all hear that so much. I think y'all should be good on knowing to love each other. But I'm going to say it again. Remember to love one another and love yourself.
I always like to end my shows with don't let the day kick your ass, kick the day's ass.
I like that. And I kind of been looking up different things to say on here, and I'm going to be 100% honest. And I found this one, and I think this is the best way to sum up the podcast. This is the podcast where music meets healing. Until next time, my friends, love you all.